this is Bridger with another little ride along here. We're back in the minivan, we're rocking. We're about to cruise from Winter Park, Orlando, Florida to some other part of Orlando, Florida. I mean, I'm sure this is technically not Orlando, it's technically Winter Park, but for all intents and purposes, it's somewhere in Orlando for anyone outside of the area. But yeah, what's up? I'm coming on for a little rant on depression, talk about depression, spinal cord injury, suicide, and just, yeah, my experience post-injury with depression, emotional issues in general. Not really my strongest suit. I can hardly talk to someone that I know about this, let alone myself. I know that sounds stupid, but sometimes it's a lot easier to be honest with yourself than other people. But I'm, as it turns out, pretty bad at both when it comes to dealing with the stress and the trauma and just confronting the reality of living with a spinal cord injury. It took me a long time to adjust and really be, I don't know, optimistic and excited about the future. And like, it's hard to say that in some ways, because for a lot of the time, like, I think generally, maybe more than some, maybe not, but in general, I had a really positive outlook. I mean, I always believed that it happened for a reason, or I would assign a reason to it and find purpose in whatever I was doing. I always believed that I would be very happy eventually, and that, you know, I would find meaning in this street is terrible. Find meaning in you know, living this completely different lifestyle than I was before, where I was confined to nothing before. Now I'm confined to a wheelchair. I'm gonna take a right here. Don't really know where this road goes, but I can't. There's cobblestone street for as far as I can see that other direction, and it's just so awful. I have no idea why they feel like it's making it fancier. It just makes it shit. But yeah, so post-injury immediately when I was in the hospital, went through bouts of depression, mostly cyclically, with the flare-ups of my spinal cord infection. I got a staph infection in my spinal column somewhere back there. Got an infection, and when that would flare up and I would go into sepsis and be super just sick and stuff, I would get really, really sad. And then post-release, when I was first moved into a 700 square foot apartment in Denver, with just me and my girlfriend and our new, at the time, brand new, the day that I was leaving the hospital, we left the hospital and went and picked up a little golden retriever puppy and brought her home, which was awesome. Cool McLaren just passed me. I would show it to you, but it passed me. So, oh wait, it's a red light. We'll show it to you up here. But yeah, so picked up a golden retriever puppy. Oh, it's gonna get away. Pretty sure it's a McLaren. But the puppy idea was awesome. Like, it was so much work, so hard. I had to, you know, when Kelsey was working 12-hour shifts, Kelsey's my girlfriend, by the way, had to take her out and clean up after her and feed her and take care of her. And at the time, I could hardly even feed and take care of myself. Like, I was totally wrecked. I got rhabdomyolysis right when I got out of the hospital from the antibiotics that I was taking, from the intravenous antibiotics, and was in so much pain. Like, was just really, you know, physically, it was a struggle. It was definitely an added layer of work, but all the happiness and that she brought me was worth every second. And I think the work and the obligation to another creature was huge in my recovery. I think it actually helped a lot, even though it was a real struggle at times. You know, I had to, you know, put her on a leash and go out my apartment, down a hall, through a door, down another hall, through another door, out a parking garage, across the street, and out to this little dog park area, which, you know, isn't very far normally, but when you're immediately released with a spinal cord injury and an infection, then, oh yeah, it wasn't McLaren, an infection in it, then, you know, it's pretty rough. So yeah, then that helped a lot, but progressing onwards, it was really, really tough because COVID hit immediately after I got released. About a month and a half, I guess, is when we went into full lockdown. I don't really remember. I was living in Denver, went into complete lockdown sometime in 2020 after I got released, and it was really, really tough. Just trapped in a 700 square foot apartment, taking oxycodone all day long, just getting faded. It was kind of nice in some sense because I'd been working my ass off and traveling and very, very active, partying and active and busy for years before that. So I guess in some way it was kind of nice to just have no obligations and nothing to do as far as like work and stuff goes. But it was tough. It was really hard. I definitely had bouts of severe depression and spent plenty of time just especially like when I was just home alone, just super overwhelmed and distraught and, you know, scared for the future. It was intense. It was a really intense time. It was by far the most difficult thing I've ever done in my entire life, is just cope with the emotional overload of that. I mean, it was, you know, I'm not even gonna begin to lie for a second. Suicide crossed my mind all the time. The only reason I never seriously entertained the idea was because of family and friends and how it would just affect anyone, how it would affect other people. For myself, for my own sake, like I was totally game. I was like, yeah, it would be so epic to kill yourself right now. This is no way to live at all. You know, I was just literally, not literally, but essentially in the fetal position, just in pain, struggling, and just wrecked all the time with just no understanding what was on the horizon that was positive. I mean, it was so gnarly. Like, I mean, I was literally sneaking into the bathroom to just take a bath and just curling up in the fetal position in the bathtub, just crying because I was just in so much pain. I didn't want Kelsey to see me and as just a, you know, a wrecked shell of a human being. And, you know, I had slept with a, you know, 40 caliber pistol in the nightstand next to me, and that sucker was tempting. A lot of days, a lot of nights. Obviously, I never, ever, ever, ever would commit suicide. Like, you know, no judgment on those that do, but, you know, no direct judgment, but in my opinion, you know, it's, for me, if I were to do that, I would feel like I was taking, you know, the coward's way out. I would never want that to be my final hurrah. I don't want people to remember me that way. I would rather, I guess it might even be vanity, but I would rather suffer for 50 years than have everyone remember me and my mark on the world be someone who gave up and took their own life. And it's really sad, you know, because I'm not gonna lie, I definitely considered it, and that was my, you know, final conclusion, is my reason not to. One of my many reasons. I mean, there was a lot of reasons in the end not to, but in those moments, it's hard, you know, when you're just an absolute, hey, a fellow paralyzed person. You don't see that very often. Cruising. Brethren, paralyzed brethren. But yeah, I had lost my train of thought. I mean, I know I was talking about suicide, but yeah, that's the gist of it. It's, you know, not something that anyone should ever use as a way out. But it is a reality, especially post-injury with a spinal cord injury. I don't know anyone that wouldn't think of it, and it's super taboo to talk about. And I don't really know why, because like prior, or if like you ask someone, like if you got paralyzed, if you broke your neck, if you broke your back, like if you're in a wheelchair forever, tons of people say, oh, I couldn't do it, like I would off myself. But if you're like in a wheelchair, paralyzed, and you're like just completely screwed in pain every day, like not living the life you want at all, and you say that you want to kill yourself, everyone freaks out. Like, it's not cool at all. Talk about suicide, which is unfortunate because you should be allowed to express that and it be a fair, option for your life in at least being able to talk about it. It's not a good choice. It is absolutely not what anyone should do, in my opinion. It's just the gift of life is too infinitesimally, is that right? Hopefully. Rare and amazing, and you just never know what's on the other side of anything, of the next day. Because now I am bountifully happy all the time, by and far way happier than pre-injury. I've gone through so much, suffered so hard, understand so much more about life. It's like I compressed 10 years of maturation into the last 2, just in my appreciation for things, my understanding. I also just having a massive amount of time to research and read and write and think has completely and totally changed my worldview and who I am as a person faster and more significantly than any other event in my life, by and far. It's just night and day, and I am way happier now than I ever was in my entire life at all before I got injured. Total contentness wise, yeah, it super sucks when I see things that I want to go do, which is everything. I love running, I love surfing, I love snowboarding. That's the stuff I lived for before. When I worked out, my favorite thing in the world was deadlifts, squats. That was jumping, running type of pull-ups, active exercises that just aren't really that kind of thing an option. I've obviously squats and deadlifts, but are not an option. But even just the type of exercises, calisthenics, are just not that much of an option when you're paralyzed in the same way that I enjoyed them before. It is literally a constant reminder of things you can't do that you would love to do. But irregardless of all of the things that I can't do, I am way more excited about my future than I ever was in the past. And I don't know what all the contributing factors or why that is. And I'm also way more content with the present than I ever was in the past. I'm way more comfortable in my own skin. I'm comfortable with what I have and what I don't have. I'm just way more comfortable, which is insane because I spend many hours a day in the most intense pain I could ever have imagined before. I could not, even right now, what's happening in the back of my legs and going up my lower back with nerve pain, I couldn't even imagine this before I got injured. I said this in a previous video, but it honestly feels like I'm sitting on a hot stovetop and it's just burning and melting my skin away. That is what it feels like right now in the moment, and that's my normal. And I couldn't even imagine this pain before. If someone said that to me, I would think it was a gross exaggeration of what was happening to them if they were acting normal, I guess. If you can qualify anything I do as normal, but acting semi-normal and conversational, and it wasn't even a focus of their life. But it really is. It's 6 out of 10, something that you would instantly go to the hospital for if you felt this much pain for no reason. It's intense. But the point is, even with that as a constant in my life and endless reminders of things that I wish I was doing, and even seeing this guy walk down the street right there, anyone who knows me knows that I've walked tens of thousands of miles all over the world, all over the mountains. It's kind of my thing before. I loved, if I was in a new place like this that I hadn't lived before, I would have walked to this whole city by now. And I miss that in such an unfathomable way. But all of that considered, still way happier. Way happier. I don't know what it is. It's a huge combination of factors, but more than anything, I guess it's just a a deep appreciation for time. Like, it just really, you know, I look back on all the time I wasted before not being happy, now it feels like I had everything. Like, when, you know, just having a working, able body and athleticism and everything that I had before, like, I mean, that sounds better than $100 million does any day of the week. Like, it's nothing could be more appealing than that. Like, I've never wanted anything more than that ever, like, even close. And so thinking of all that time that I wasted not appreciating that, not enjoying that, you know, this is something that most people don't get to realize till they're in their 80s, till they're, you know, if they make it that long, they don't get to realize how awesome health is until it's too late, time-wise. And like, for me, it's too late in a sense, like, I don't get to enjoy that body that I had before, and those abilities that I had before, but I still have an incredible amount of time to live. You know, I'm still, I mean, God willing, I likely have a very long time to live, and it just, knowing what I didn't appreciate before, like, I'm able to apply that same concept to everything, to family, to friends, to experiences, to beautiful sunsets, to just everything in life. The journey is way richer, more full, more exciting. The depth of field is just so much deeper. When I hope that makes sense. In everything that I do now, it's just so much better in so many ways. So if you have a new spinal cord injury, or you have old spinal cord injury, and you know, you're just feeling gray or grim or sad or depressed or whatever, you know, we're always moments away from everything just completely changing, because the beauty of being human is that it's all about perspective. So your perspective could change right now in an instant, and everything could be rich and beautiful and happy, because it doesn't take a change of circumstance, like physical circumstance around you, to change how much you appreciate and enjoy life. It only takes a change of thought, a change in the way that you perceive what's going on and what's happening to you, and the way you think about pain and everything. And it's really amazing how good our minds are at, how good our minds are at believing the thoughts we tell it, if we tell it enough. So, like, if I just repeat, not literally repeat to myself that I'm happy, but if I continually look at things in a positive way and, you know, look at the glass half full, because I promise you there's plenty of times I saw like a fucking completely empty glass when that thing was full. Like, I've been pessimistic and negative. I've tested both sides of it, and honestly, it just feels better and works better when you believe everything's going to be awesome, believe it's going to be good. Like, even if it might not be, I mean, I can think about all the bad things that could happen, or I can think about all the good things that could happen, and if I just continually, even if it's completely delusional, if I just continually imagine that I have nothing but good things ahead of me, and that good things are happening to me right now, and even when something crappy's happening, that it's happening for a good reason, it just, everything feels better. So, I don't know, that's my method. I could be just a delusional idiot, and I have nothing but dark days ahead of me, but I'm, no matter what's happening, going to just keep imagining. Well, that's not the case. So I hope this has been informative, entertaining, something, anything. I hope that you enjoyed this content. I'm going to sign out for now, because the distraction of filming and wanting to get off that cobblestone road completely derailed my route home, and I am now stuck in a massive amount of traffic, which I could have avoided by getting on that expressway there. Yep, I would have been on that if I'd been paying attention, but I was filming this instead. So I hope that it was helpful to someone somewhere. See you guys. We'll catch you in the minivan. possibly later today, because I really enjoy this. I think it's a lot of fun. Over now.